So hello, hi Biplav. How are you? How are you
Hi,
doing?
people. I'm doing good. How are you? How are things at your end? It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time, but all great. Life
Yeah,
is just moving on.
that's good. It should keep on moving. That's it.
So thanks for joining, Biplav, and it's pleasure to have you here. And today we'll talk
You.
about your journey, your career as a BA professional before MBA, and how things turned after MBA. So,
Perfect.
first thing first, just tell us about yourself. Let's give a brief of your journey. What have you been up to now?
Yeah, perfect, people. So, I like to take this from my graduation, right? I've graduated from NIT Durgapur in the domain of electronics and communication engineering, somewhere around 2017. So after that, I got into a bank, just like most of the engineers who don't pursue engineering. I was also one of them. So I went into the bank. It is a public sector bank. I cleared IBPS RRB, and I joined in as an assistant manager. After I joined in as an assistant manager, there my main work focus was much more into branch operations, banking operations in the initial 6 7 months, and after that I moved on to the clearinghouse. So the role was much more client service, business growth, business management, and further on it moved towards an internal side of the banking operations. And while I was in the bank, I decided that it's time for me to increase my uh, educational lineage, and that's why I went ahead and started with my preparation for the MBA. I completed my MBA from IIM Raipur in 2021 in the domain of finance and HR. Yeah, in the domain of finance and HR. Moving forward from 2021, my first absorption was into Cognizant, and I remember it was as a business analyst, senior business analyst. As I moved into the role, I evolved into a junior project manager as well within a span of 18 months within Cognizant. So a lot of credit goes to my project manager at that point in time, uh, who showed the confidence in me rather to take up that role. Moving further, I moved into Everest Group as a senior research analyst, and currently I'm working as a L&D director and AI project manager. It's a dual role wherein I keep on switching between both the roles in a startup which goes by the name of Smart. That goes on in my professional life. In my personal life, I have some hobbies which are into music. I write my own songs, I create music, and I also publish songs of my own. And I also write poetry. I have some plans moving further as well. And in my I recently got engaged. It's been like 1.5 years, and my fiance is a Filipina, so it's much more like it's a very happening life. That's what I can say as of
Great,
now. So that's
great,
more
and
about myself.
great, and congratulations. Two important highlights I can see. First, you started as a banker, and not like some private sector, but for public sector domain. And you quit your
Yes,
job, well settled public sector bank, and you started doing MBA. And in most of the cases, what we observe, and I can see here as well, people go for a bank, public sector bank, and settle down there. So this is the key aspect, and we'll be talking more about it. And the second thing about your corporate journey, I think that's pretty much different what you earlier had before MBA. So we will definitely gonna talk about how you are coping up to that. So
sure.
first thing first, Biplav, I mean, I know it would be a tough decision to move out of banking sector, well settled, like in India, specifically in India, north end or east side. We go for a settled life. If you are doing good, if you are settled in private, I mean public sector domain, you you don't rush into changing your path in a career. So how difficult it was, what all factors you kept in your mind while choosing or going for an MBA? And have you ever thought, like, even after completing MBA, I'll be moving back to bank? Or you had this in your mind, like, this is it, I want to try something else, I want to go for in a corporate? So all these things was a part of your plan, or it was just like, you took the decision and you take it as a challenge and moved it? So how is
So
it?
that's a very good question, Vipul. That's a very, very good question, right? There are three questions, and all these 3 points I'll be hitting one by one. So the first question is like, how did I come to that decision of moving and moving ahead from a very well settled life? We all know in a public sector life, the life is well settled. You have everything which is very sorted, kind of. It's a secure life, right? But for me, that decision, the complete uh, credit goes to my family, to be very honest with you, because the kind of support that my family has provided when I was taking that decision is truly impeccable. Be it my mom, be it my father. I remember my father, he told me that I once went ahead and told him that I want to pursue higher education because I feel that I still have that gas left in me. To be very honest with you, people, I still feel that I have that gas left in me.
We can see
So
some more turns now later in your career.
yeah, so I mean there have been so many professors, right? Professor Shabir Hussain was one such person who has inspired me a lot to take things further academically, right? So at that point in time, I remember that my father, my parents have been very supportive, my family has been very supportive, so that gave me the courage to go ahead and try it out. And once I decided that I'll be trying it out, for me it was not a decision of a casual effort, it was a very serious effort that I had put in, right? And moving further, for me the transformation, even though it was challenging enough, but there was a kind of different flavor to it. Into the corporate life, what I've realized is that there are two things that are very critical when it comes to corporate life. One is the learning is a continuous process, and this is something that makes corporate life very unique in itself. The second thing is, in the corporate life the network is very, you grow networks, you meet people, and when you're meeting people, if I'm meeting 10 people, those 10 people are going to talk with at least two people each about me. So you're getting the amount of visibility, the exposure, right? The third thing is, if you're in good hands, if you're in good firm, fortunately, I have been in two good firms till now, the current one and of course in Cognizant. So if you're in good firm, so your efforts will be recognized. It will not be like you are just somebody who's being labeled as something which you are not. Your efforts get recognized a lot. Even in my current firm, my seniors have recognized my efforts. Even in Cognizant, there have been multiple times when my efforts have been recognized. Even these are the things, that the more and more you work in corporate world, you realize that if you are someone who are good with people, if you are someone who has that determination, the road is not going to be that difficult for you.
Yes.
Of course, there will be challenges. The challenges are going to be a little different from what we have in the uh,
So I think
secure life, right?
we got the gist about it. And sorry to cutting you out, but now we want to know more about your professional career as a BA, like post your
Yeah.
MBA. So we want to know whether I mean, how did you prepare for it? Did you had in your mind like this is what I want to do right after college, or it was just a part of process? Like you got to know like this is the profile, and let me try it out. If it is happens good for me, I'll take it forward. Or how is it? How your BA journey it was? What was your tenure look like? And tell us more about how is your day look like as a business analyst.
So I'll break it down people into 3 to 4 areas. The first thing is, how did I decide onto that, right? And the second one that you said is what is my experience into the BA? How does my day look like? And the fourth one, which I'll be giving an add-on, is, but how is the career moving forward as a BA, right? So the first thing is, there's a very beautiful word that you use. You use the word process, right?
Yes.
So I'll be very honest with you. You have to trust the process. I never knew that I was going to be a BA. In fact, I did not even know that I was doing the work of a BA before I got into the Cognizant. But while I was doing my MBA, even while I was doing my undergraduation as well, right? I was freelancing. I was freelancing as a writer. So while I was freelancing as a writer, there are so many things that are in common with the BA. One thing that is in common with the BA is the market research. The other thing is understanding of the product requirement that we talk about. The other part is communicating with the stakeholders, knowing that what is the requirement that is coming from their end. These are all in modularity. If we talk about it, these are all modules that of key skills and capabilities that a BA requires. So when I went into the interview for Cognizant, I will be very honest with you, my entire interview was focused on this aspect only, freelancing, because what they wanted to check was how is he good at analytical thinking, how is he good at solving a problem, how much is he good at handling responsibilities, team management, stakeholder management. So these become very critical aspects for any person who's aspiring to be BA. Now my journey as a BA has been very interesting. So what happens is it generally takes people 4 or 5 years to you know transform themselves from BA into project manager. But within Cognizant itself, like within 18 months, I got into I filled in the shoes of a junior project manager. And moving further, currently as well, I have been into project management for 3 4 months now, right? So what I want to say is that during my journey as a BA, it has been challenging, but the challenges are very sweet fruits, you can say. The challenges of stakeholder management, understanding business analysis, gap analysis, those things have really been a key aspect for me. And how will I, well, I mean, moving ahead, how does my day look like, right? That was the second part of the question, third part, rather. So the day looks very interesting. So what happens is no 2 days are similar. But one thing that's very much certain is that stand-up call happens, right? I wake up, like I start my day somewhere around 9:30, 10. So going through the mails. Currently in my organization, we don't have the mail system. We follow internal communication channels like MS Teams and Slack, right? So we go ahead and run through the Slack and MS Teams channels. We check if there are any messages that are for us. Next, we go ahead and start with the stand up. Since we are a completely remote company, for me, it was, the stand ups, we don't have sync stand ups, we have async stand ups. So, unless and until is very important, we don't get on a call. So, the async stand ups take place. After that, once we are done with it, the next thing comes is updating the Jira board. The Jira board is the Bible of I mean, it's a Bible for the BA, product manager, project management. It's something very important, right? The fourth thing that comes in is there are certain tasks that need to be done from our end, which is the documentation part. For a BA, the documentation becomes very critical. Be it the documentation of a media wiki or be it on Confluence, the documentation becomes critical. The latter stages is again then you have to go ahead and take on to the role of the project management. For the project management, because I was filling in both the roles, both in Cognizant and here as well, right? And somehow moving further in the career, both the roles become quite dissolved into each other as well.
Yes,
That's what
yes.
I've realized. So as a project manager, you have to go ahead and do the policing. How much is the work done? What is the progress? Interim status updates, right? Then taking care of then the next work is for the project, taking care of the finance of the project. How far we have reached in terms of the what do you call this one? How far have we reached in terms of the targeted goals that we have for this week? And do we think that we can achieve the targeted financial goals that we have, right? The next part that comes in is communicating with the client, the client communication, client updates, and requesting for the invoices to be cleared. So then the latter part, as the day keeps on comes to an end, again taking a small update, quick check on how the people are doing, if there are any blockers, if there are any impediments that they'd like me to address. And that is mostly how my day goes. In the evening, I remember, since I'm working anywhere from home, right? So I remember I sit around after 9:30, 10. I sit up to 1 or 2 mostly. Okay. So it's also a little beneficial for me because at that point in time everything is calm. So I go ahead and I do some of the tasks that are left for me. So be it the manual testing that's required, since I also fill up some roles of the manual tester as well. So it's be it the manual testing which is required, or completing the user stories, updating them. It's more or less how my day looks like, right? And what becomes important, people, is moving further, right? I believe the career progression in itself, if somebody wants to BA, is going to be from BA, the next thing is going to be the junior project manager, or if someone is interested into product management, it's going to be APM and PM role. That's how I see the upcoming career path to be honest with you.
Great, great. I think beautifully pointed out. I mean, as a BA, you have to deal with new challenges. Your day will be really interesting. I don't think you want to I hope you want to discontinue your work and want to go home. It won't be that interesting. So thanks, Biplav, so telling us all about it and the key skills that you have noted out. I mean, market research, like researching, going through the problem analysis, critical thinking, and more or less it is like problem solving as well.
Yes, yes, it's
So
more
if
on that lines.
yes, so I think it is great, and I think you pointed out it's good to have some technical skills as well. I mean, as a BA, as a PM, there's a very gray area. The more the technical skills you have, I mean, you probably don't have to actually work on it, but to just to overview it, whether everything is going in line or not, it's good to have something like that.
It's always good to have the technical skills, people. I mean, even though I don't come from a technical background, but once you're working as a BA, right? Something I've learned in Cognizant is once you're working as a BA
So
or a project manager, you'll get to know it.
yes, and I mean, just so, Biplav, I think one good thing you have mentioned, like you don't come from technical background. So, just tell us to audience who is presently, I mean, they want to have a career as a BA and not into that much technical, or as of now they are working in some other domain and they want to refresh. So, I mean, as a BA, like what you look for, I mean, how did you prepare for it? How do you research for it? How did you prepare for your interviews? How many round of interviews happen? And what like kind of attitude or personality you look like in your candidate? I mean, not specifically only for to personality, but as a skill wise as well, like soft skill, technical skills. So just give us the little bit detail about it.
So that's a very good question, people. I mean, it's a very broad topic to talk about. Since as you rightly pointed out, right, I don't come from a technical background, even though I have an engineering, but it's just a degree.
I think it's same for many of us.
Yes. So what I wanted to point out here is that I come from a complete non-tech background in my professional career. So me, I would label myself as a functional BA, or somewhere now with some experience, it's a techno-functional BA because I have also been, now with ChatGPT and everything, right? Yeah, I also get to learn things that I'm not understanding. I leverage ChatGPT to understand the technicalities of things. So when I am, for me, the preparation for Cognizant was only into the functional areas, to be very honest with you. It was only into understanding how a particular thing works, what is the requirement, or what are the features that I can look for into. For, for example, there is a website, right? As I told you, I was working as a freelancer. So my work in freelancer, you won't believe it, it used to be for describing applications. So it was giving me enough exposure to go ahead and understand how does an application work. For example, there's a Play Store application, or it's a Play Store game, right? I had to go ahead and explore the game, how it's working. So the curiosity is one of the most important skill that I will look for into a BA, and that I think my interviewers at Cognizant also look for in me, right? So that is one thing. The second thing that I really focus into while preparing for Cognizant's BA interview, it's going to be undoubtedly my resume. And when I'm talking about my resume, and it's a very clear fact to everyone, know each and every word in your resume, and know each and every letter in your resume, to be very, very, very precise with you, right? You cannot fake it. I mean, the people out there, they're
Yes,
having two times, three times the experience that I'm having, right? You just cannot fake anything there. So
truly.
the resume plays a very important role. There was a lot of discussion on my resume, and every word, I believe, I'll tell you, even when I got into smarter codes, right? Every word in the resume was being, questioned about. Okay. So that is how important your resume is. And the third thing, which I believe is for any person to get into the functional BA role, even though technology is not so much important, it is important that we should have the basic understanding of what is happening in the technology. So
Yes.
if I go ahead and discuss with if I'm going ahead and looking forward to hire a BA or a project manager, my most important aspect for judging him will be, does he know like what is happening currently? It's the role of, is the world of AIML, is the role of LLMs, right? So is he having that much understanding of what is actually going on in this world, and how is it that these things are going to shape up the current
Yes.
technical and Not only the technical, the shape of the entire lifestyle. And the fourth most important thing, which I believe how I prepared, and this is something that is starting way before the preparation of cognizant. It starts when you should prepare for the MBA as well. Right? Let me tell you, people, even when I was preparing for IBPS RRB, right, there is a panel of 7 interviewers who are interviewing me for the in the IBPS RRB examination. 7 interviewers, mind you, and all of them were in very high designations in the bank. So
And
what I'm trying to say here is, you know what, all in all those phases, what I was getting tested is the decision making skills.
yes, your
Your
choices.
decisions can be, yes, your decisions can be wrong. And it's perfectly fine to have wrong decisions in both professional and personal life. It's a life doesn't come with a blueprint, right? But
Yes.
what is important is the what I brought brought into the interview at Cognizant was the decision making skill. Like I am able to have my own opinion about anybody can read a piece of
That's
news, but can you form an opinion? Right. So when I am going forward and hiring someone, these are the 4 skills, primary skills that I'll look at, right? That I told you. On top of that, if there is something that I would be, focusing much more into in a person is how good they're in communication. I don't care the language that you're using, Hindi, English. Of course, you cannot use the vernacular language, but Hindi and English, right? Either of it. Uh, when I say communication, what I'm trying to say is, are you able to articulate what you're thinking?
yes.
Communication doesn't only mean speaking good English or speaking good Hindi, but if you're able to articulate it in an organized, clear, and concise fashion,
Making
that is
sense
where
of
I
it.
think it's
Making
yes, that is what is going to, because at the end of the day, right, people, a BA's work is 50% communication. Trust me, a BA's work is 50% communication because it's written communication, oral communication, or verbal communication, and if you're working in an office, it's also going to be non-verbal communication,
yes.
right? So these are the 3 skills that I'll be, the 5 skills that I'll be looking into when I'm hiring a BA. And rest of the things they can be learned. And when you talk of personality as well, these also form a part of the personality as well. They will be shaping of the personality in some way or the other. So these 5 things are the most important things for me. The technical skills and everything, it can be learned
Can
with
be
time.
acquired later down the time. I think
Yes, I
you
mean,
pointed out.
I yes, I mean, technical skills, matlab, to be very honest with you, you can learn it from Udemy, YouTube, or if you're talking with, you won't believe people, I even learn things from the developers. I learn every day from the developers, the technical jargons, technically how to make things work out, right? So if a BA is open to learning, right, and he's not just sticking on into the walls of, oh, I'm a BA, I will not learn anything, then it's not going to work. That's how I see.
Yes, I think this is now, I mean, world or, market is all about how agile you are. I mean, how quickly
Yeah,
you can grasp the changes. And I think it's all relevant what you have pointed out. As a BA, you have to be I mean, good communicator. You don't have to be a orator, like someone who can speak with really good vocab or something. But yes, you should be making sense of it because you have to gather requirement. You have to collaborate with multiple teams, technology teams,
exactly.
business, your inside organization team, your stakeholders. You have to drive steer co, you have to drive PM meetings as well. So I think it all makes sense. So, Biplav, I think we are right on time, and thanks a lot taking your time out and giving your perspective. And I think it all make relevance. Anyone who is aspiring to build a career as a BA, right from scratch, or even if you can look like banker turned BA as well. Like in most of the cases when we did MBA, we were in corporate and we turned banker. But for Bipla, where you can see he was already a banker and he shifted to in a corporate journey. So we wish you all the best, Biplav. You did really, really great, and I know you will be doing great as well, professionally and personally. So thanks a
Thanks a lot, people. Thanks a lot. And honestly, it's a pleasure to, connect with you after such a long time for this occasion as
lot.
well, right? It's been like quite some time that we graduated, right? It's been like, 3 years running. So it's pleasure completely. And I wish you all the best moving forward with the new venture as well. And yeah, if you need anything, I'm always there for you.
Thanks, Viplav. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.